ex-wife showed up at my door after 5 years, and what she said left me speechless. I never thought I'd be writing this, but here I am at 2 a.m., unable to sleep after what happened yesterday. I need to get this off my chest, and maybe some of you can help me make sense of it all. My name is David. I'm 38 years old. And 5 years ago, my ex-wife Rebecca walked out of our marriage. Yesterday, she came back, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. Rebecca and I met in college. She was studying marketing, I was in computer science. We were the typical opposites attract story. She was outgoing, spontaneous, and always the life of the party. I was the quiet, steady guy who preferred small gatherings and predictable routines. Somehow, it worked. We balanced each other out, or at least that's what I thought. We got married when we were 26, right after I landed a great job at a tech company. The wedding was everything Rebecca wanted. Big, elaborate, expensive. I would have been happy with something smaller, but seeing her happy made it worth it. That was always my thing. I just wanted her to be happy. The first few years were good. Really good, actually. We bought a small house in the suburbs. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. I was climbing the corporate ladder, bringing in a solid income. Rebecca worked at a marketing agency downtown. We had date nights, took vacations, talked about having kids someday. Life felt like it was on track. But somewhere around year 5, things started to shift. Rebecca became distant. She started working later, going out with friends more often, and spending less time at home. When she was home, she seemed distracted, always on her phone. I tried to talk to her about it, but she'd brush me off, saying she was just stressed with work or tired. I suggested couples therapy. She said we didn't need it, but I was overreacting. I suggested weekend getaways to reconnect. She was always too busy. I tried planning special dinners, surprising her with gifts, doing more around the house. Nothing seemed to make a difference. Then came the conversation that changed everything. I remember it was a Tuesday evening. I had made her favorite dinner, hoping we could just talk, really talk. She came home late, barely touched her food, and then she said it. "David, I'm not happy. I haven't been happy for a long time." My stomach dropped. I asked her what I could do, how we could fix this. She just shook her head.
You haven't done anything wrong. That's the problem. You're perfect on paper. You're kind, stable, successful. But I feel suffocated. I got married too young. I feel like I missed out on living my life. I need more excitement, more passion, more everything. I was devastated, but I tried to stay calm. I asked if she wanted to try counseling, take a break, anything. She said her mind was made up. She had already talked to a lawyer. She wanted a divorce. The next few months were a blur of paperwork, mediation, and dividing up our life together. Rebecca wanted out fast. We didn't have kids, which made things legally simpler but emotionally harder in some ways. There was nothing tying us together, no reason for her to stay in contact. She got the house. I didn't fight her on it. I just wanted the pain to be over. I moved into a small apartment across town and threw myself into work. My friends and family were supportive, but I could see the pity in their eyes. Poor David, blindsided by his wife who decided she wanted more excitement. The divorce was finalized. About 8 months after that, Tuesday night conversation. I saw on social media, before I blocked her, that Rebecca had already moved on. She was posting pictures at clubs, concerts, traveling to exotic locations. She looked happy, free. Meanwhile, I was eating frozen dinners, alone in my apartment and trying to figure out who I was without her. But here's the thing. I didn't stay down forever. It took about a year, maybe a little more, but I slowly started rebuilding my life. I started going to the gym, not obsessively, but enough to feel better about myself. I reconnected with old friends I'd neglected during the marriage. I picked up hobbies I'd abandoned, like hiking and photography. I also focused on my career with new intensity. Without the distraction of trying to save my marriage, I poured energy into a project at work that ended up being hugely successful. I got promoted to senior director, then VP. My salary nearly doubled. I wasn't doing it to prove anything to Rebecca. I was doing it for me. About 2 years after the divorce, I started dating again. Nothing serious at first, just casual coffee dates and dinners. Then I met Sarah at a friend's barbecue. She was a teacher, warm and genuine with this incredible laugh. We took things slow. After everything with Rebecca, I was cautious. But Sarah was patient, understanding, and we built something real together. Sarah and I have been together for almost 3 years now. We don't live together yet. Both of us preferring to take our time, but we've talked about a future together. She's met my family, I've met hers. It's comfortable, stable, but in a good way. We communicate, we laugh, we support each other's goals. It's everything my marriage to Rebecca wasn't. Which brings me to yesterday. Saturday afternoon, I was at my place, a nice condo I'd bought about a year ago. Sarah was visiting her parents for the weekend, so I was alone catching up on some reading. Then my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door and there she was, Rebecca. For a moment, I just stared. She looked different. Older, obviously, but also tired. The sparkle that had always been in her eyes seemed dimmed. She was still beautiful, but there was something worn about her. "Hi, David," she said quietly. I didn't know what to say. We'd had zero contact since the divorce was finalized. I'd blocked her on everything, moved on with my life. And now she was standing at my door. "Rebecca, what are you doing here?" "I know this is unexpected. Can we talk, please? Just for a few minutes." Every instinct told me to say no, to close the door and protect the peace I'd built. But curiosity won out. I stepped aside and let her in. She looked around my place, taking in the modern furniture, the framed photos of my travels, the artwork on the walls. "You've done well for yourself," she said. "Thanks. What do you want, Rebecca?" She sat on my couch without being invited, and I remained standing, arms crossed. She took a deep breath. "I made a mistake, David, a huge mistake. Leaving you was the worst decision of my life. I felt like I'd been punched." "Excuse me?" "I mean it. These past 5 years I've been miserable. I thought I wanted excitement and freedom, but all I found was emptiness. I've dated, I've traveled, I've done everything I thought I was missing out on, but none of it made me happy. Nothing has compared to what we had. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Rebecca, we've been divorced for 5 years. You can't just show up and say this. I know. But I've been thinking about this for months. I had to tell you, I made a terrible mistake. You were everything I needed, and I was too stupid and selfish to see it. You were kind, loyal, supportive. You loved me unconditionally, and I threw it away because I thought there was something better out there. But there isn't, David, there isn't." She was crying now, tears streaming down her face. The Rebecca I knew never cried, especially not in front of others. "I see your success, your life now, and I realize what I gave up. I heard through mutual friends that you're dating someone. I'm happy for you, really. But it kills me because that should be me. I should be the one sharing your life." I sat down, but not next to her. I needed space to process this. "Rebecca, you left me. You said I was suffocating you, that you needed more. You were so sure about the divorce. I was an idiot. I was going through something, maybe a crisis, I don't know. I felt trapped, but not because of you. Because of my own fears about getting older, about having settled down too fast. I blamed you for my own issues. And by the time I realized that, it was too late. You'd moved on. Yes, I moved on. Because I had to. You destroyed me, Rebecca. Do you have any idea what it was like watching you leave? Seeing you immediately jump into this exciting new life while I was left picking up the pieces? I know, I'm so sorry. I can't tell you how sorry I am." We sat in silence for a moment. My mind was racing. Part of me, a very small part, felt a twinge of vindication. She regretted it. She realized what she'd lost. But mostly I just felt sad. Sad for both of us. For the time wasted, for the pain caused. Why now, Rebecca? Why show up after all this time? She wiped her tears. Because I couldn't live with myself if I didn't try. I know it's selfish. I know I have no right to ask anything of you. But I had to tell you how I feel. I still love you, David. I never stopped. Those words, the ones I desperately wanted to hear 5 years ago, now just felt heavy. I don't know what you want me to say. I want to know if there's any chance. Any possibility that we could try again? I've changed. I've grown up. I know what matters now. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city. Rebecca, I'm with someone. Someone who values me, who didn't need to lose me to appreciate me. Sarah is everything you weren't. She's present. She's committed. She communicates. I'm not going to throw that away. I understand. But do you love her the way you loved me? That question hit harder than I expected. The truth was, I loved Sarah differently than I'd loved Rebecca. Rebecca had been passion and intensity, the kind of love that consumed you. Sarah was calm and steady, the kind of love that sustained you. Both were real, but after what I'd been through, I'd take sustainability over intensity any day. I love her in a way that's healthy and real. What we had, Rebecca, it wasn't as perfect as you're remembering it. We had problems long before you asked for the divorce. We could fix those problems now. We're both different people. I turned to face her. You're right. We are different people, which means we're not the same people who got married 12 years ago. That marriage is over. It's been over. I've built a new life and I'm happy. I'm genuinely happy, Rebecca. Can you say the same? She looked down. No, I can't. Then I think you need to figure out why that is. And I don't think it has anything to do with me or our marriage. You said it yourself back then. You weren't happy because of your own issues, not because of me. Those issues don't just go away. Have you worked on them? I've been in therapy for the past year. That's actually what gave me the courage to come here. That's good. Therapy is good. But Rebecca, coming here wasn't about closure for me. This was about you trying to fix your regret. And I can't fix that for you. Only you can. She stood up, realizing this conversation was ending. So there's no chance? No possibility? I thought carefully about my answer. I don't hate you, Rebecca. I did for a while, but I don't anymore. I hope you find happiness, I really do. But that happiness isn't going to come from trying to resurrect something that's been dead for 5 years. You need to move forward, not backward. What if I can't? What if you were it for me and I ruined it? Then you'll have to learn to live with that decision. The same way I had to learn to live with it 5 years ago. It's not easy, but it's possible. I'm proof of that. She nodded slowly, fresh tears falling. I really am sorry, David, for everything. You deserved so much better than how I treated you. Yeah, I did. But I've got better now. I hope you find your version of that. I walked her to the door. She paused at the threshold, looking like she wanted to say more, but no words came. Finally, she just whispered goodbye and left. I closed the door and stood there for a long time, trying to process what had just happened. Part of me felt relieved that I'd stayed strong, that I hadn't let old feelings cloud my judgment. But another part felt genuinely sad for Rebecca, for the life she'd thought she wanted, and the happiness that still eluded her. I called Sarah that evening and told her everything. She listened without interrupting, and when I finished, she said, "How are you feeling?" Honestly, grateful. Grateful that I'm not still stuck in a marriage with someone who didn't value what we had. Grateful that I found you. Grateful that I've built a life I actually like. Do you still have feelings for her? I thought about it. I have feelings about her, about that whole chapter of my life. But feelings for her? No, that person I loved or thought I loved. She either never existed the way I imagined, or she's not who Rebecca is anymore. Either way, I don't want to go back. Sarah was quiet for a moment. I love you, David. I love you too. After we hung up, I sat with everything. I thought about the David from 5 years ago, broken and confused, wondering if he'd ever feel whole again. I thought about all the work it took to get here, the therapy, the self-reflection, the conscious choice every day to move forward instead of staying stuck. And I thought about Rebecca, driving away from my condo, probably crying, dealing with the reality that some doors once closed stay closed. Here's what I've realized through all of this. Regret is a powerful thing. It can make you romanticize the past, forgetting all the reasons things ended in the first place. Rebecca didn't actually want me back. She wanted the security I represented, the stability she'd tossed aside in her search for something more exciting. She wanted to undo her mistake. But life doesn't work that way. You can't unring a bell. You can't unfeel the pain of abandonment. You can't rebuild trust that was completely shattered. And even if you could, why would you want to go back to something that wasn't working in the first place? People talk about the one that got away, but sometimes the one that got away did you a favor. Sometimes they needed to leave so you could become who you were meant to be. Rebecca leaving forced me to rebuild myself from the ground up. It forced me to figure out what I actually wanted. Not just what I thought I was supposed to want. I'm not glad she left. The pain was real and deep, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. But I'm glad about who I became after she left. I'm glad I learned I could survive losing someone I thought was my everything. I'm glad I learned what healthy love actually looks like. So Reddit, that's my story. My ex-wife came back after 5 years, full of regret, asking for another chance. And I said no, not out of spite or anger, but because I genuinely have something better now, something real. I don't know what will happen with Rebecca. I hope she finds whatever she's looking for, but I know it's not me, and I'm okay with that. More than okay, actually. I'm at peace with it. If there's any lesson here, it's this. Sometimes the best thing someone can do for you is leave. It might not feel that way at the time. In fact, it will probably feel like the worst thing in the world. But if you do the work, if you put yourself back together with intention, you might just end up somewhere better than where you started. And to anyone going through a divorce or breakup right now, wondering if you'll ever feel normal again, you will. It takes time and work and patience with yourself, but you will get there. And when your ex shows up years later, full of regret, you'll be able to close that door with confidence because you'll know you've already moved on to something better. Thanks for reading. I just needed to get this out. Tomorrow, Sarah comes back. And we're going to have brunch and go to a farmer's market and live our quiet, stable, beautiful life. And I can't wait.